Have a good
Thanks,
week.
Diane. You too. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, Natasha. How are you?
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you very much. You're joining right on time. The floor is yours. Please go ahead. Tell us everything.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So my name is Natasha, and I am here actually at Skye Cannabis in West Kelowna. So I just wanted to share a little bit about how retail cannabis in BC works. And then I don't know if you had any questions for me. You can make this maybe more like a conversation. Oh, sorry, there's background noise. I will go into the office to make it easier. Is that better?
No problem. That sounds,
Okay.
yeah, it sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I wanted to show you guys the store, so maybe I'll do that after, but obviously we're open right now, so that makes it a little hard if there's customers in here. So just in terms of the retail cannabis scene in British Columbia, so it's now legal if you are licensed, and so your licensing has to go through the municipality and as well the province. So the entire process took us about 17 months. So that's starting from getting a location to going through the municipal process, which includes public consultations and all of that. And then our provincial process was super long because you have to go through a security clearance. And then once you have your licensing, then you have to build out and get your permits. So we started hiring people about a month to 6 weeks before we opened. And we did that for a few reasons. The first and most important reason is a security clearance. So nobody who works, like everyone who works here needs to have provincial security clearance. So for the provincial security clearance, you have to send your information to the province of British Columbia, and then it takes about a month to go through that entire process because they have to look into your background and everything. We did have one person who works here where it took 7 weeks because she had lived in numerous places around the world. So keep that in mind if you are applying to work at a retail location. It really says a lot if you take the initiative to apply for the provincial clearance even before you start working or start applying, because I know people who send me their resumes who let me know that they've already gotten the security clearance or have already applied. It makes me more likely to interview them because I know they've taken that initiative. So keep that in mind. It does cost $100, and a lot of the companies will reimburse you. So we do reimburse all of our staff for their $100 security clearance. The other reason we started hiring super early was the knowledge base. So most of the customers who come into our store have used cannabis before for the most part, but are pretty new to the legal industry. So they're not buying from, I can see the question, so I can send you the link for where to get the clearance from, and then you can send that to all the panelists. Again, it's a pretty easy process to go through. So where was I? Oh, so for the training, so one thing that is really important to us is that our staff know everything about our products and cannabis, because the last thing we want is for someone to walk into this store and feel like the person who's helping them knows less than they do. So we went through a pretty rigorous training program with our staff. There was a lot of readings, and then we do our orders every week. So every week as we're sending out new products, I send out a database that has a description and information about every single product. So it's really on the staff to know as much as they can about each product. And you know, it's exciting because we also give an employee discount, so people get to try the products, and then that way, like I can tell a customer, oh, I really like the Pink Kush by San Rafael because it helps me sleep, because I actually have that knowledge. So we don't tell our employees to purchase every single product, but at least if you try a few of them, then you know what you're talking about when you're talking to customers. Because the other thing is you can't make any medical claims. So I can't say, like, this beverage is going to make your depression go away. You can't do that in a recreational store, but you can tell a story. So like for me, if I have trouble sleeping and I smoke Pink Kush, then it helps me sleep. So that is essentially how the hiring has worked here. We have at any given time 2 staff members who are on, and we probably do about, I'd say 80 to 100 customers a day right now, and we've only been open for 3 weeks. So we're still fairly new. Did you have any questions for me? Or did you want me to do a tour? I don't think I can hear you.
Me on mute.
Oh, there you
go. We have a question in the Q&A. We have from Gary. What exactly do you look for on a security clearance?
So the security clearance, again, it's done through the province. So what they're looking at is, I believe if you have a criminal record is one thing, but that does not mean you won't get hired at a store or won't get your security clearance. The other thing I think they look for is ties to organized crime. So I am not sure how they look into that, but I know that's one of the other things that they look for, because again, a lot of the people who are in this industry have been in the legacy industry, so it doesn't preclude you from working here. I think the province and the federal government, more of their concern is around links to organized crime. So if you had, worked in the legacy market before, again, that doesn't preclude you from working in the legal industry.
Tash, you've been in the industry for quite some time. Can you maybe speak to some of the challenges you've seen as a woman of color and how you've been able to overcome these obstacles?
Yeah, I find it interesting that I'm asked that question a lot, and because I don't want to, I think, pretend that I have faced barriers because I'm a woman of color, because I haven't. So I want to be honest about that. I've actually felt really embraced by this industry. And again, I have been in the industry for about 10 years. So that's, quite a track record. And I do feel like I was embraced the entire time I've been in this industry. So I do want to say that, because I've been treated very well. I think it's not so much the color piece that's an issue, but as a woman in this industry, there's a lot of, I don't like calling it sexual harassment, but it's just when you're in an industry where there's a lot of old boys club, you just put up with a lot of sort of like, good girl, like you have a gorgeous smile, like just things that I don't think men hear a lot of. Like when I think of my partner, I don't think anyone's ever responded to an email to him saying, good boy, so there's just more like those little, like, I call them like little microaggressions, or like little sexual harassment in like more of a micro way that can get a little annoying. But I've worked in a lot of industries, and I've been in the modeling industry, and so I'm kind of used to weird comments. I'm not saying women need to be okay with it, but that's just my own viewpoint. I think as a woman of color in this industry, again, I do feel like I've been pretty embraced. That being said, I think this industry does a lot of sort of tokenism, where you just all of a sudden see like the one colored woman on a board of all white men. So I think we need to call that out when we see it. And I also, I get sent pitch decks all the time. And to be honest, if the entire team and board is just old Caucasian men, I have no issue with Caucasian, but I'm just saying, if I see absolutely no diversity, then that, it's kind of troublesome to me. So it's hard to sort of balance between tokenism and just what's been happening in the legal industry. Because honestly, like in the legacy market, it's very diverse. And it's looked very different than what the legal industry looks like. So I'm not sure if I'm answering the question well, but I'm just giving you sort of my own experience. And I think, again, as a colored woman, I've just been pretty, I guess, aggressive and ambitious in this industry. And if I want something, I say I want it. And if I think I deserve to get paid a certain amount of money, I say this is how much I want to get paid. So I think, beyond the cannabis industry, that's for all industries. I think, probably the best example right now is Kanye West running for president. Mm-hmm. There's no way he is qualified, but he's still throwing his hat in the ring. So I think women can take a few lessons from that. I'm not saying don't be qualified, but a lot of women are very qualified and are very knowledgeable, and we just don't give ourselves the credit or ask for what we deserve. So I think, yeah.
Any suggestions or tips on how women can pivot into this industry, and what route you would suggest we take?
Yeah, I think that because this is still a new industry, it's not super difficult to get into, and people are so willing to talk. So I think it's good to find women and men who you look up to and reach out to them, and talk to them, go for a coffee, let them know what you're good at, and if there could be a fit. I think maybe it's matured a little bit now, but when this industry first started, I don't think everyone knew what they needed in terms of roles and jobs. So they would just find someone who they liked and said, okay, I really like your skill set. maybe you could do A, B, and C for us. And I think with a lot of companies, because we're still in the infancy of this legal market, that's still happening. So, you know, like someone like you, Anita, if you reached out to a company and you were like, I'm a like kick-ass pharmacist and I, you know, have been in the health industry for years, like people are going to be like, okay, like you might be really good for like the medical cannabis side of what we do. And maybe they never thought of that before, but just by you reaching out and saying what you're good at, then, you know, it's sometimes like you start to create the job for yourself, which I think happens a lot in this industry. Like there's, you know, the standard sort of like job postings and descriptions and you apply for those, but then there's so many opportunities that are never posted. And if you just like think you're good at something, like, I don't know, even if you have to give yourself false confidence to like fake it until you make it, it's actually a real thing.
So yeah, networking and being all inclusive and mentorship. Maybe you can highlight some of the mentors you've had along your path in this journey into cannabis.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of pretty amazing mentors in this industry. I used to make a joke. Maybe I should stop making this joke. But I'm the person who says inappropriate things, where I was like, well, I don't need to be a part of the old boys club. I'll just date the old boys club. But, you know, there's a little bit of truth to that. Like a lot of my mentors are people who have been a part of those like old boys club and the groups that people, you know, feel like they can't be a part of. But a lot of my mentors have come from those groups. And I think of, you know, like Brett Wilson, Moses Neimer, like a lot of people who have done really well in like the media, cannabis investment industry, who sort of took me under their wing and have taught me a lot about what they know and really opened up a lot of doors for me. So I think just by being open and talking to as many people as possible and reaching out, like the networking and mentorship piece of this industry is massive, because again, it links back to the fact that a lot of people don't know what they want to hire for until they've met you, and then they realize where you could fit in, and then you know, have a position.
So that finding that right cultural fit for yourself and that mentor that kind of pave you into this industry would be key right now.
Yeah, and it's not even about like this industry. Like I look up to a lot of women in the beauty industry. Like, you know, one of the lines that I love is called Drunk Elephant. And, you know, this woman started it at her kitchen table, just making some products, and created this amazing brand and this amazing line that she's now sold to Shiseido for like 845 million, you know? So it's like, even looking outside this industry and getting inspiration from just women who have done a really good job in other industries. And I think beauty it's kind of similar to cannabis, because you're creating, and then you're creating brands, and then you're commercializing, and you know, then hoping you can be acquired or something. So I think, you know, looking outside of the cannabis industry as well, because the other thing is cannabis itself isn't just about growing the plant and selling just bud anymore. Mm-hmm. There's so many products, right? Like even at my store right now, we have topicals, we have seeds, we have beverages. Like there's so many other things that other industries have already done a really good job at. And so if you look to those industries for inspiration, you know, companies would be impressed, I think, by that knowledge that you have as well.
Yeah, no, and I think also the fact you highlight the fact that there's so many different products available. We're trying to be all inclusive. So you've got the topicals, you've got the edibles, you've got the inhalables, and it all comes from our vast array of differences and what the consumers want. And you capture that with the participants that join you in your store, and move forward, having that with the variety of patients you see, the consumers that you see.
Yeah, and you can, you know, people who have been in gray market for a while, like it's easy to, it's not like the easiest, but you could like transition to the legal market, and even with products. So a few years ago, a few girls and I started a company where we made cannabis infused lube, and then massage oils and things. And so, you know, now we're in the process. Sorry, that was my mother calling, so I had to hang up the phone. I'm like, cannabis infused lube. Sorry, mom, can't talk to you right now. So you know, now we're in the process of trying to get that company rolled into a legal company. So, you know, you take a chance, you create something, and then you help commercialize it on the legal side of things.
Yeah. So maybe you can chime in on what your vision for Skye Cannabis is as you guys grow with this new industry, and how you want to incorporate what your passion is and how we bring all this diversity into it.
I mean, I think our vision with the store was we wanted, you know, and my background is primary care. So like similar to when I built clinics, I want people to walk into this store and feel like they're at home. I want them to be able to speak to the people who work here, not feel like the person is being condescending, but the person's understanding what they're here looking for and is helping them find that product. And then in terms of growth, like we would definitely like to look at other locations. But the one thing I've learned and have seen is that you don't want to grow too big too fast. So I think, we've been lucky with the store. We've been open for 3 weeks and it's been really good. And so we want to just make sure we iron out any kinks that we have right now before we move on to opening other locations. But, it's my brother and I. And so, we're not like a large corporation. So we're just trying to do the best we can and make the store as amazing as we can. We're so blessed that the community of West Kelowna has welcomed us with like such open arms, and then, move on to the next. But getting too big too fast never works.
No, that's wise words from a wise woman. Thank you for that.
No problem. Thank you.
Please, if you can, Katie, go ahead.
No, I'm sure we've seen growing too fast what that has done for the industry and some of the companies. So great advice.
Yes. Did you want me to give you guys a quick tour before
Absolutely.
I
was gonna
okay.
say, yeah.
So I'm just walking. Oh, let me figure this out. Oh, there. Okay.
And while Natasha is giving us a tour for the viewers, if you have any questions, please feel free to send in your questions so that those can be answered later on.
Okay, so I'll show you from the front door, and I swear people work here. They look very busy right now, see? So when you walk in, we have our menus here, and I just noticed one of the TVs is missing, but we can talk about that later. So we have all of our products that are shown on the menu screens here. We sort of built this as like a seating area / Instagram wall. This is where we have all of our accessories. And then on this side, so one of the things that we've done different with our store from, I think, what a lot of the other stores have done is that every single product we have on sale is on display, because we know it can be a little overwhelming to go through the tablets or look at the menu boards. Of course, we can't have any flower in the actual flower pods because of COVID, but they are here. So we have descriptions of all of our products, and these little watermarks distinguish between the different types. So this is flower. Then we have our capsules, oils, topicals, hash, keef, shatter, our vape pens, our pre-rolls, and then all of our edibles. So the legal edible game has definitely gotten a lot better. So we have everything from chocolates to gummies, drinks, and we actually have cookies coming in next week, which is fairly popular. So that's a tour of the store. Cool. Sorry, a customer just came back in, so I wanted to come back to the office. And then we have our storage room for cannabis and our accessory storage room as well. So, for us, building a beautiful retail environment was really important because, I'm sure we've all been in dispensaries from pre-legalization before, and they weren't all terrible, but, some of them were like the size of my closet and didn't make you feel like you were and my closet's not massive, so I didn't like, they were tiny. So we wanted to build a place where people feel comfortable and at home and could bring their mother here. So when we built the space, it was like, could my mom walk in here? Would my mom feel comfortable bringing people in our family in here? And if you are of Indian background, you know that that's a pretty big deal if your mother can bring someone into your cannabis store. So that's how we work to design the store. My brother, his background was flipping and renovating old homes. And so he, took a really big step in making the store look as beautiful as it does.
It's gorgeous. Thank you for sharing.
No problem. Thanks.
That's amazing. A few questions that we have in the chat box now is, from Carolyn. What sort of skills and characteristics Skye is looking for in potential team members?
So when I talk to people, what I look for is sort of like a friendly energy, someone who is willing to learn and doesn't feel like they know it all. And then also someone who starts with at least a baseline of knowledge around cannabis. Like a lot of the people we hired weren't cannabis experts, but they learned pretty quickly. So, it's the willingness to learn, good energy, and and have a passion about cannabis. So you don't have to know everything, but you want to know everything and like helping people. Because a lot of we get people who come in who are buying CBD oil sort of off market for their pets because their pets are on their last few days or something. So we want someone who can be sympathetic to that and make someone feel happy and at home when they come to the store. So other skills, some retail experience is always good, just because then having, picking up the POS system and just the retail environment. But again, that's not like super necessary. Like my assistant manager has been in the industry for about 25 years, but his career background was as an electrician. So he, was never in a retail environment, but he's absolutely fantastic. And he's the person most of our staff go to for information about cannabis.
Excellent. It's by the way, everyone's saying lovely store on the chat. Yeah, there's a lot of positive positive comments, definitely.
Good. Yeah, we're in West Kelowna if anyone ever wants to come by and visit.
How big is your team right now?
So I have 2 managers, a key holder, and I believe 5 or 6 salespeople. So because we're open 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, we need a decent number of people to do all the coverage. And then I drive up on the weekends, so I'm usually here Friday and Saturday night closing the store. Those aren't the popular shifts, so I take them.
Excellent.
Natasha, do you have any plans of expansion, like coming up with more stores in BC or Ontario?
Yeah, so I'm looking at a possibility in Ontario. I'm someone who's living in BC right now, like my appetite to go to Ontario right now isn't huge. Just given everything. So we are hopefully looking to expand, but again, we just want to get this store really done well before we look at another store. And I'm just in the process of launching a line of sort of like nootropics and adaptogens, which I'm going to be doing in the next few weeks. So I, have a few other things on the go before we look at other stores. And it's not cheap. That's the other thing. So like beyond like the human resources side, like opening these stores is not cheap because for a few reasons, like with the licensing wait. So let's say you have a location and you're waiting 17 months to be licensed. For most places, you're paying rent for that entire 17 months. The other thing is no bank will give you a loan. Every bank pretty much told us to pound sand. So you have to, if you're doing renovations, inventory, all of those costs you are paying for out of your own pocket. It's really hard to get a business loan for something like this. So, just like I encourage people to look at the private cannabis retail market, but just keep in mind that it's, it's not cheap and there's not a lot of help. Like if I was opening up a hair salon or a spa, I probably would have been able to get all sorts of business loans. But with cannabis, like even though it's legal, there's still a lot of I would call it discrimination. There's still a lot of discrimination out there in the banking industry, which is ironic considering that Bay Street pretty much killed the public side of this industry, but that's neither here nor there.
No.
So you touched on the fact that you're, shifting kind of into the health and wellness side of things. The recreational space is very rec centered. Maybe you can chime in on how we can kind of bridge that gap where medicine meets recreation and what we can do in the industry to move this forward.
Yeah, I think these retail stores, a lot of people compare them to alcohol. I don't. I think this is a wellness store. Because when I think of my own use for cannabis, and I don't drink, I haven't drank alcohol for 8 years, but with my own use of cannabis, I use it for 2 reasons: sleep and sex. And those are both for wellness. And so when I look at the people who come into this store, yeah, of course, there's the people who want like the very high THC products, the shatter, but I'd say about 60 to 70% of the people who come into this store are looking for something to help them sleep, something to help them relax, something to help them with their anxiety. So that is all wellness. And I think it's okay to say it. I think, recreational is kind of a weird word to me because I don't even know what that means. Like I recreationally ride my horse, but I use cannabis to help me with falling asleep, and it makes sex more enjoyable. So I think we're already there. I think we just need to say it more and to put the words to it, because I don't consider this just a recreational store. To me, this is a place of wellness.
Agreed. I think there needs to be more conversation between the medical space and our recreational space. Marry the two together and join forces to pave the way for more like plant-based medicine.
Yeah, it definitely does. And we know that that's sort of like where everyone's moving now is into the psychedelic sphere. So I think, yeah, the more we have these conversations about wellness, I mean, it makes things a little complicated when you're looking at things like insurance coverage, because then you still need to go through that like quote unquote medical side. But, you know, if you're just coming in here because you want, you know, to sleep better or you have anxiety, then that's wellness and we're here for that.
Amazing. So Romain, do we have any more questions for Natasha?
We have people asking how can they get in touch with you? So after the show, or for any retail position that you'll have in the future, how do those people get in touch?
So for the store, we're on Facebook and Instagram, and we have a website, so you can email in your resume. The first person it comes to is me, so the email address is on the website, so like hello@skycannabis.ca. And then, you know, I'm always willing to sort of like talk to people, help them out with the industry or mentoring. So the easiest place to find me is probably Instagram, because I'm not as good on the emails. So yeah, for me, my Instagram is NRAEY, Ray. And then again, with the store, if you're looking for a position or want to learn more about the retail space, then it's skycannabis.ca, and that's Skye with an E. Yes, Deepak, I'm on Instagram. I miss you, Deepak.
I'm sure he's enjoying the conversation right now.
He's known me for a long time, so I'm sure he's at home giggling to himself.
Excellent. So,
Yeah, I think that's look, that's everything. Again, there will be more questions coming your way after this. So thank you for sharing your details.
And I'm so happy I was able to make it. I had to message Alicia. I almost didn't make it because I almost got my car impounded on the side of the highway coming up to Kelowna, but luckily the police officer let me go. So I made it.
Were you driving a little too fast?
No. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Natasha. It was great.
Thank you so much for your time. Yeah.
Thanks. Good luck with everything. Bye.
bye-bye.